this show, but don't worry, I will get you. So this is a brunch show. We always start talking about morning. We love food
Oh, I
because
love
we're
the morning.
Mexicans or because we are Latinos, and that's why we love food. This is a
Yes.
foodie show, kind of.
Oh, good. I love it. I
Yeah,
love food
yeah,
myself. I'm
perfect.
Greek, so there's the Greeks definitely love their food as well. So I actually just finished. I love the morning too, and I love the food in the morning. I love everything about the morning, to be honest. So I just finished my
Yeah,
breakfast. So I think it's my favorite time of the day. I don't want to hate on the afternoon or the evening time, but I think morning brunch time. I'm with you.
yeah, for me as well. Actually, it's kind of, for example, for me, if I don't drink a tea
Yeah.
and fruit and eggs and everything, this is kind of the part of the secret to be happy all day long for me because
Right.
I love mornings as well.
Right.
But
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
don't
Sorry.
want to talk about me. I want to know everything about you. You said something very important. You're
Okay.
from Greece, right? And I want to know, for
Yeah.
example, yes, please.
Sorry, I just want to be clear. I am of Greek heritage, but I'm not myself from Greece. I'm from America. So
Yes.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Okay, yeah. But for example, your family, I don't know if they have those kind of things because, for example, as Mexicans, we love to eat like a lot of things on the breakfast, right?
Yeah.
What about a Greek breakfast? What is
You know,
the
so
secret?
honestly, I know this is the brunch show, but I think the my favorite Greek stuff is actually the dinner time stuff. A nice Greek salad to start with, some lamb with very good Greek seasoning. And my mom, who's actually not Greek herself, she's German, but has adopted the Greek
Ah,
style cooking, makes just some of the best Greek food. That it is not some of the best. It is the best Greek food that I've ever had. She makes
mm.
spanakopita with fresh spinach and it's just so good. The feta cheese. And, so I think
Ah,
even though
qué
that
rico.
I am a breakfast guy myself, it's my favorite meal of the day. My favorite Greek stuff is probably that stuff.
Okay, okay. So I need to translate to the people because
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to do that. I forgot. Sorry. Lo siento, amigos, lo siento mucho. Me fui muchísimo. Pero a ver, estábamos hablando un poquito acerca de cómo es, bueno, ni siquiera es como su mañana. Él me estaba diciendo que le encantan las mañanas, que es como su parte favorita. Y después de esto me dijo, bueno, yo tengo una parte de griego, ¿no? Y le dije, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo es esta onda de los griegos? Me dijo, mira, yo te estoy diciendo que me encanta el desayuno, pero realmente la comida que más me gusta es la que hace mi mamá, que es como 100% griega, a pesar de que su mamá es alemana. Entonces, estamos hablando acerca de eso. So, but talking about your morning, I mean, the morning routine. How is a morning in the life of Madcap?
So obviously it differs when I'm on the road and there's a wrestling show
Yeah.
that day. When I'm at home, we'll start. That one's a bit more stable. So usually I wake up and almost immediately I try to get outside and get some sunlight. I just think it wakes me up. There's some studies and some science behind this as well. But getting the sunlight it gives me life and it wakes me up in the morning. Then I come downstairs from my bedroom. I usually do a bit of reading then. Right now I'm reading one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's just a philosophy book. I won't bore you with that. But after I've done a bit of reading, then I'll cook my breakfast, which is usually an assortment of vegetables mixed in with about 7 eggs. And then
Okay.
oatmeal as well. I just made some oatmeal with a bit of cinnamon, a bit of honey, a bit of protein, and also berries and bananas. It was just absolutely delicious. And now, if it's okay with you, I am sipping my coffee right now out of my Madcap Moss mug, which was given to me by my mom. And as much as I get a kick out of my own jokes and like seeing my name on a mug, more than anything, it reminds me of the generosity of my mom. So just a double feel
Mhm.
good. The coffee itself plus the mug. It's a great way to start the morning.
Wow. I think you're the first. We have almost like 2 years or something. It's 2 years to show, broad show. But you're the first one saying that you start your day reading.
Oh,
So,
really? I gotta talk to the guys in the locker room. We gotta get some, I'm gonna pass some books around maybe. We gotta get guys reading more often maybe.
and philosophy?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I do need to say this. This is a relatively new habit for me. It was kind of during pandemic times that I developed the habit of reading, and honestly, in school, I barely read. I was not, I was an okay student. I was able to get by, but I didn't put in the maximum effort that I should have. And I didn't often even read the books that I was supposed to read in school. But now that I've grown a bit wiser, I understand how important reading is and how much knowledge you can gain and how much it can help you and help you improve yourself. And everyone is different. I also like reading novels. I like reading historical books, but right now this philosophy book has really got my interest, and so I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, someone said something here that is real. Madcap is the man.
Oh, thank you. That gets a thumbs up from Madcap.
A ver, I need to translate. So, wow. Eso es lo primero que tengo que decir. Estoy asombrada con este muchacho. O sea, comienza la mañana completamente distinta a todas las rutinas que hemos escuchado. Creo que desde la semana pasada ya estábamos escuchando algo diferente, pero es que él, imagínense, desde que se despierta se va el sol. Entonces se pone en el solecito porque dice, y es verdad que es muy bueno como tomar el sol y todos los beneficios que tiene. Después de eso se baja y lee un libro de filosofía. Eso está increíble. Le gusta mucho leer, le gusta comer frutita y cosas así. Pero bueno, eso es como ya lo que todos sabemos. Pero que a él le guste leer filosofía es algo, chicas, que tenemos que dar un aplauso y de pie. Caramba, muy bien. Pues ahora sí, vámonos a lo que te truje chencha, ¿verdad? Dirán por acá. So, you played football for 4 years with the Minnesota Golden Gophers,
correct?
Right?
Yes.
So I want to know, how was it, and what was the most important thing you learned in your football career?
Oh, wow. There was a lot of important things. I credit football with really helping mold me as a person, and help me get through some, just deal with adversity. And so it was a great experience. It's my hometown team, and I got to stay and play for them. And my family was nearby, so they got to come watch a lot of games and play a big part of that. My little brother was even on the team my final year, so that was really cool. But I wanted to be a football player my whole life, and I wanted to be the best that I had ever played. And I had confidence, and I put in a lot of work. And then when I first got my opportunity to start and really have a significant role on the team, things didn't go as well as I would have hoped. And it was really hard, and it kind of was like I questioned everything about myself. Like, maybe I'm not this guy that I think I am. But the great thing about football is you don't have time to sit there and wallow in your misery and get down on yourself, because there's a game the next week, and you have 100 teammates relying on you to do your job and pull your weight. And so that's sort of what that taught me, is that through the tough times, through losses, and when I say tough times, losing a football game, of course, in the grand scheme of things, is like not a big deal. But for me as a 19-year-old kid, like, it was my world. And it was who I thought I was. It's how I got my self-worth, my identity, and all these things. And so to be able to push through the times when it didn't go so smooth and come out on the other side better than before and continue to put in the work and just kind of soldier on, so to speak, is just something that I've taken with me through everything in life, to where when I'm in wrestling and it's the same thing, if things aren't going my way or I face an injury, any of these sorts of things that can maybe make you want to slow down or question yourself or anything, just keep moving forward. I think that's really the main thing that football taught me. And then on top of that, I would say also just being a part of a team. Like, there's just no greater feeling to me than being part of something that's bigger than yourself, and being able to put your own selfish ego to the side and do what's best for the group. And I think, again, that's something that I take with me today in wrestling and out of wrestling, just everywhere in life.
Wow.
I'd also like to say, the way you translate and remember, I'm sorry I'm giving you these long answers. It's very impressive that you're able to remember and translate all of that.
I mean, sometimes I have to confess that sometimes it's really hard, because I'm really, like focused on the things that you're saying.
Right.
And when I'm translating, because of course it's a lot of things, but I just say like the things that are more like.
Right.
But
yeah, that's good though. Yeah.
You say a lot of things, like amazing things, and I have to recognize that thing, because it's something I think that we need to learn when we are young. Like the thing that you said, forget about the ego and just focus on your on the career and nothing else. That's life.
Right.
So thank you about that, because I think all the new generations, they need to know that,
Yeah.
It's about just like you have to keep moving.
You have to keep moving, absolutely. Yep.
Thanks for that. Now,
of course.
Traduciendo. Wow. Tengo que decirles que es impresionante que este tipo de 20 caigan. Para mí es un honor estar aquí como platicando con todas las superestrellas, porque me recuerda y me hace recordarles a todos ustedes que eso, lo que ellos han llegado tan lejos, porque este chico a los 19 años fue jugador de fútbol, ¿no? Y de aparte un equipazo. Y él dijo, es que a veces lo que mejor me dejó fue olvidarme del ego y seguir hacia adelante, porque no hay tiempo de pensar, porque tienes un equipo que está ahí contigo todo el tiempo esperando a que las cosas salgan adelante. Entonces, si tú te detienes en tu carrera y dices, ay, pobrecito de mí, no sé qué, no, las cosas no van a pasar. Tienes que seguir caminando hacia adelante y que la vida siga fluyendo. Y otra de las cosas bien padres es que he visto en varios, y en él también, que la familia es un gran apoyo, es su soporte. Entonces, es lo que decía, para mí era increíble que en casa tenía a toda mi familia apoyándome y diciéndome que iba hacia adelante. Entonces, ya lo saben y díganselo a todos, por favor. Sigan hacia adelante y no se estresen si se caen, ¿ok? Muy bien. So, now, how did you decide to leave football and become a WWE superstar?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. I was always a huge fan growing up of wrestling. But I didn't really know how you got into it. It was so much clearer with football. Football, you just played in school all the way up until the pros, and then they drafted you. And that was it. With wrestling, I really had no idea. Like there was my high school didn't even have an amateur wrestling team, which is a different world altogether anyway. And so when I got done, I had a short tryout with the Miami Dolphins. And there was a guy that I met in Miami whose his whole job was to help football players transition from football into whatever they want to do next. And I decided that WWE was what I wanted to do next. And so I reached out to him and I said, can you help me with this? And he got me in touch with the WWE, who then gave me a tryout. The first tryout I did there was only 5 people at. It was me and 4 other guys, and it was the rest of the guys were like not even close to in good enough shape. And so we didn't do half of the stuff that they would normally do at a tryout. And so at the end of it, I thought I was killing it because like I was doing so much better than the other guys. But they pulled me aside and said, look, we like what you did, but we didn't even do half of the stuff that we normally do. So you have to come back. And at first I was a little bit upset. My ego took a little bit of a hit, but I took lessons from the past and especially, from football, like we talked about, but also my family. They played such an enormous role in shaping me as well. And I decided that's really not that big of a deal at all. I'd love to come back and do another tryout. And thankfully, the second tryout went even better. And so that was the way that I got into the WWE from football.
Okay, such a great story. Well, first of all, Miami Dolphins is kind of wow.
It was cool. Yeah, it was a cool year. It was a tough year because one dream died and another dream, then a great year in another sense because another dream started. And in the same year, I was on an NFL practice football field and in a WWE ring, and it was kind of just surreal to even when I first rolled into the ring and grabbed the ropes and like, man, this is what I've been pretending to do with my brothers in the basement my entire life. And like, I'm actually in a WWE ring now. It was a pretty surreal moment.
Wow. Sounds great, actually. A dream,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
Muy bien. Pues, yo sigo asombrada, que estoy como en una película, si no me faltan las palomitas. La verdad es que yo le dije, ¿cómo fue esta transición de estar en un equipo de fútbol, ¿no? Y pasar a ser superestrella de WWE. Wow, es que aparte es bien padre como cuando te enfocas y haces las cosas simplemente se dan. Y me dijo, a ver, yo estaba haciendo no sé cómo decirlo, como un entrenamiento con los Miami Dolphins. Y después de ahí, pues dije, ¿por qué no? O sea, ¿por qué no voy a hacerlo? ¿No? ¿Por qué no voy a estar? Que tuvo una plática ahí mismo y dijo, quiero hacerlo. Su primer tryout no fue tan chido. O sea, a pesar de que él estuvo increíble porque los demás no estaban en buena forma, le dijeron, hey tú, bájale 2 rayitas. Y él dijo, ¿cómo que le tengo que bajar 2 rayitas? Pero está bien, respiró porque su familia le dijo, a ver, bájale también tu ego, ¿no? Y después de eso regresó el siguiente año, ¡pum! Y tenemos a Madcap Moss aquí. Pero decía que algo surreal era que mientras estaba en el campo de la NFL, él también estaba, o sea, dejó un gran sueño por otro increíble. ¡Wow! Tenemos oro puro por acá. So, being a WWE superstar, you surely admired someone in the industry when you were a child, right? So
Absolutely.
I want to know, who is that superstar?
So, someone I finally got to meet this year at Elimination Chamber, on our way out to Elimination Chamber, was absolutely one of my favorites growing up. Probably my favorite was Bill Goldberg. And being a football and wrestling guy myself, to see the intensity that he carried over from the football field and brought to the wrestling ring, and the spear, and the way he would headbutt the locker before he came out, the entrance, the crowd chanting, everything. Probably my most fond memory and the one that's clearest to me of wrestling when I was a kid was when Goldberg beat Hulk Hogan in Atlanta for the heavyweight title. I still remember exactly where I was, and I didn't expect it to happen, even though I was a huge Goldberg believer. I thought, Hulk Hogan, the NWO, they'll pull something here. They won't let it happen. But Goldberg got it done, and I was just over the moon. But then also, I do want to point out someone that I've modeled myself and my style in ring and out of the ring on the microphone and everything. Someone who I still go back and watch, and who I got to actually work with a little bit at the Performance Center was Scott Hall. And to me, he does every little thing so well. And I think maybe the most common compliment you saw about him recently after he passed away was there was no one cooler than him. And he just epitomized cool, and you can't teach that. And there's no way that I can try to emulate how cool Scott Hall was, but just the way he carried himself. I still do some of his moves in the ring, and some of the lessons, the few times I did get to work with him, I still carry with me today, which is just so cool. It's like Scott Hall, who I idolized growing up, and wanted to be, now teaching me, passing on his knowledge while I'm trying to do what he did for years so well. That was a really cool moment, and I'm really glad there's a few times I got to spend with him. I'm really glad I have those memories.
Okay, but Goldberg, you said at the beginning as well.
Goldberg, I said, yep.
Yeah, he's a great icon for all of us.
Absolutely.
Pues ahorita estábamos hablando acerca de quién es como o sea, yo creo que todos los que estamos trabajando y todos los que nos están viendo, tenemos a una superestrella que decimos, puta, gracias a esta superestrella, yo estoy aquí. Y él me dijo, sí, Goldberg. Goldberg porque pues o sea, cuando él estaba más chavillo y lo veía, decía, wow, era impresionante verlo. Pero también Scott Hall, ¿no? Porque me dijo, la calidez, la humanidad que él tiene, y él estuvo también como apoyándolo, entonces, pues sí, es como íconos para él. Entonces, eso es increíble. Now, let's talk about your dream match. It can be with the past or a current superstar. Which superstar will you choose?
Well, I mean, certainly, I would love to step in there with Goldberg. I just talked about him, from the beginning. I've always been a huge Goldberg fan, and I think he would bring something out, as he does in all of his opponents, just an intensity in me that often comes to the surface, but I think he would possibly bring out a different layer, intensity from Madcap, just because he himself is so intense. And if you don't bring that, you got no chance.
Sure, yeah.
You know, there's so many I could go through. I'm sure. You know, another one of my absolute favorites growing up was Kurt Angle. And I think part of what I loved about him was, here's an Olympic gold medalist, like the most legitimate, you know, combat fighter that you can imagine. And he was also an over-the-top personality. He was willing to do comedy. He was willing to do anything. But when he got in that ring, there was no doubt he could go, and he was dangerous. And so I would love to step in there with Kurt Angle. I think he and Madcap would have a great match, a great contest. And then, you know, looking at the current roster, I think there's a ton of guys I would love to. I mean, I'm really happy I got to step in there with Drew McIntyre. That was a good measuring stick to see where I was at. And I think I proved to myself and to a lot of people that I could hang with the very best in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, Finn Balor's a guy who took me under his wing. We started at the same time in WWE. Obviously, he had a lot of history in the wrestling business before I did. So he helped me along the way, and I would love to kind of test, you know, a bit of a student-teacher match there. And then, you know, there's this other guy, that comes to mind, this new guy, Ezekiel. I don't know. He looks familiar. I know he says he's Elias's younger brother. But yeah, you know, he's an interesting guy. I'm still trying to get a hang on exactly what he's I don't know. You know, I'd like to test myself against him. And then the last person I'll mention is my opponent at WrestleMania Backlash, Happy Corbin, who it's a dream of mine to wipe that smug smile off his face, which is what I'm going to do. I gave a little preview, actually. I just posted it on my Instagram, of his face on a golf ball, and I swung as hard as I possibly could and smashed his face in. And I'm planning on doing that exact same thing at WrestleMania Backlash.
Tenemos nos acaba de dar una cerecita del pastel porque nos dijo, vayan a mi Instagram, chequen lo que voy a hacer con la sonrisota de loco, o sea, del Happy Corbin. Entonces, váyanlo a ver, porque eso es lo que le va a pasar ahora en WrestleMania Backlash. Antes de eso estuvimos platicando que a qué superestrella les gustaría enfrentar. Y me dijo, bueno, de antes ya lo había dicho, Goldberg, Kurt Angle, y también de ahora, pues le encantaría muchísimo a Drew McIntyre y a Ezekiel, ¿no? Sin importar que si es hermano, que no, que si está mintiendo o no, la neta es que estaría impresionante verlos juntos. Pero antes de que todo eso pase, por supuesto que necesitamos ver a Madcap Moss dándole sus sangoloteadas guajoloteras al Happy Corbin, porque ya se lo merece. Al Happy Corbin, ¿qué tal? A Happy Corbin, sorry. Now, let's talk about Happy Corbin.
Okay.
Because for many, many weeks, you and Happy Corbin has started to build a solid relationship, right? But recently, we saw the opposite. Madcap, I want to hear from you. So how was that relationship created? And how do you feel now that everything's just like...
Well, I think what Happy Corbin represents to me is we had a lot of great times together. We had a lot of fun times. And he's he's wildly successful. I would say he's gotten very lucky. I think even by his own account, he's gotten very lucky. He struck it big in Vegas, and he likes to have a good time. I like to have a good time, too. So it was great. Well, things were going well for him. But as soon as things start going wrong for him, just like we talked about earlier in the conversation, when you face adversity, you got to kind of soldier on. You got to put your ego aside and, you know, just continue to try to put the work in and improve. He didn't do that. And so even though we had this great relationship, we had great times together, when things got tough for him, the true Happy Corbin came out, which is he's kind of someone who I would describe as entitled. He's a bit of an entitled brat, and he feels that he's better than, and this has been a pet peeve of mine since I was a child. He thinks he's better than other people simply because of his material possessions. He thinks because he has a lot of money, because he dresses fancy and nice, and he cooks fancy steaks on the grill with his exact temperature cookers and all this, what I think are stupid things. But if you like him, fair enough, do them. Just don't think you're better than everyone else because you do them. And that's what he thinks. And so it got to the point where he started blaming me for everything that went wrong with him. And I put up with it for a bit. I thought maybe he'd turn the corner and come around and get back to being happy. But he didn't. He just kept poking me. And if you poke me and push me far enough, I'm going to turn around and punch you in the face. And that's exactly what I did.
Sí, es verdad, it's true. Uf, a ver, le dije, ¿qué onda? Primero de que hay piquete de ombligo, no sé qué, con Happy Corbin, y luego, ¿qué pasó? Ya no son así las cosas. Y me dijo, es que hay algo que a él le molesta, a mí también, que es la gente fake y la gente mamalona, diríamos por acá, ¿verdad? Los que dicen, yo tengo mucho y que alarden de que, él decía algo muy chistoso, decía que la carne esté lo suficientemente bien cocida y que alarden por las posesiones que tengan, lo superficial, y que aparte de todo menosprecien a los demás. Eso a Madcap no le gusta. Y sin embargo dijo, bueno, date como magnate por otro lado, pero conmigo no. Y cuando llegó con él, le tuvo que meter en su carita, ¿verdad? Y le tuvo que poner un alto, porque eso no, o sea, después de tener una amistad, pues obviamente se iba a caer, porque uno es superficial y el otro ve la vida de otra manera. Así las cosas, ya lo sabemos. But, let's go deeper now. Because
Okay.
you know Corbin very well. So, what was the reason he decided to steal the Andre the Giant trophy? What was that reason?
Exactly what I just said, basically, is that things were not going his way. And so instead of looking at himself and trying to figure out how he could improve, he decided to take it out on me. And so he thought that he wanted to take credit for all my success. And he thought that once I left his side, I would fall flat on my face. That's what he said. He thought I would become the laughing stock of WWE. And in recent weeks, that hasn't happened. I defeated both of Los Lotharios, Humberto and Angel, and I looked impressive doing it. And that was after I won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And I did that without Happy's help. I celebrated with him after, but he didn't do anything to help me with that. That was me by myself. And he just could not stand that I was having success while he wasn't. And so what he did was he came out after another one of my victories and attacked me from behind. And instead of talking about it face to face with me or trying to fight me face to face, he decides after he lays me out from behind that he's going to steal my trophy and walk off with it. Needless to say, that really did not sit well with me. It still is not sitting well with me, and something will happen. There will be consequences for Happy's actions. I'll just say that.
I want to see those consequences. I think you really deserve those kind of consequences.
Yes, I agree.
A ver, for Latin America, please, okay? You
Yes,
just do it.
absolutely.
You just have to do it. Okay.
Sí.
Sí, muy bien. Pues, a ver, básicamente, ¿por qué robó Happy Corbin el trofeo que Madcap Moss con mucho esfuerzo se había ganado? Por envidioso. Así, cerrando el círculo. Porque no le gustaba que viera todo lo que estaba logrando Madcap sin ayuda de Happy Corbin. Entonces, de Corbin, porque ya no le vamos a decir Happy, no más. Entonces, cuando él vio que todo lo que estaba logrando, pues dijo, no, a ver, se me está saliendo el ganado, y hizo toda esta locura. Y él no lo va a permitir, básicamente. Madcap, the day that you won the trophy, I was there, I remember, and it was an amazing match. Because I saw how passionate you are and the big effort you had to make to get that victory, right? Mm-hmm. So you are the winner, as I said. You deserve that trophy. And I think, as you said as well, he deserved a punishment. So, but I want to know which kind of punishment he needs or you will give to him. Or
yeah, well, I don't want to ruin it. Okay, because I want people to be able to enjoy it just as much as I'm going to enjoy it as I'm doing it. But it is going to be deeply satisfying. And it will probably at some point involve this fist going straight into his smug, smiling face. Although at that point, he probably won't have a smile on his face. He'll probably look really scared and be trying to run away or something like that. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to make sure he gets every bit of punishment that he deserves, that he's got coming his way, which is a lot. So I'll just tell you that much. I don't want to tell you too much more. I don't want to ruin it. You know, it's like, I don't want to give you the punchline of the joke before I tell the joke kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Perfecto. It's enough. Perfecto. Pues lo que le va a hacer, le dije, a ver, ¿qué es lo que se merece? Y me dijo, lo que se merece, no les voy a decir todo porque lo voy a arruinar y es como si hiciera un pastel. No quiero arruinarles todo el pastel. Entonces, lo único que les voy a decir es que se va a comer este puño, básicamente. Eso es lo que me dijo. Y le va a borrar la sonrisa de su cara. No más sonrisa. Ya no va a ser más happy, ahora solo será Corbin. Sad Corbin. ¿Qué me dicen de eso? Muy bien. And, well, as you said as well, you will have your chance at WrestleMania Backlash to make, all those things can happen. But what can we expect for this match?
I mean, I think what you can expect is for Madcap to be fully prepared. The way I'm looking at it, this is absolutely the biggest match of my career. I had some huge matches with Drew McIntyre leading up to WrestleMania, but to me, it always felt like it was Happy trying to protect himself from Drew by pushing me in front. So it always felt like I was just getting in between Drew and Happy, and that was really... It was all about Happy, and he was trying to make it all about him without having to put himself in harm's way. This feels like this is my chance to prove that I can do it on my own against, as much as I've talked bad about Happy Corbin, as much as I've talked smack, there's no doubt he's one of the best superstars in WWE right now, and he has been for a long time. He's huge. He's lethally dangerous with his fists. He's a former Golden Gloves champion. He's a former NFL player. He's got strength, power. He can move. He's got a full package of very good fighting arsenal. And I'm going to have to bring my absolute best. And my absolute best is, in my mind, better than anyone on any given day. And so what I'm doing is I'm focusing on myself, getting myself ready to be the type of guy that Madcap can be and will be, which is fast, explosive, and gritty. Like he can beat me down, he can catch me from behind, he might catch me with a shot or two. It's not going to be an easy match by any means. I know that. But I have the fight, and I can push through that pain, that adversity, and I know that Happy can't. And I know at the end of the day, the one thing that you can expect is the punchline. And I'm not talking about to the joke. I'm talking about driving Happy's head straight into the mat and me pinning him for the 3 count and proving once and for all that I do not need him.
Eso se dice así. Muy bien. Así se dice, caramba. And I think you just said that it's your first big match, but I think it's the first one of everything.
I hope
because you have everything. So you have the character, the body, the everything. So I'm completely sure. And I'm with you there.
Thank you.
A cheerleader, like a cheerleader in a film. Yeah. A ver, pues estábamos hablando, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué nos espera ahorita WrestleMania Backlash? Y me dijo, es que este es el match más importante de mi carrera y de aquí para el Real, ¿no? Y me dijo, así que pues ya sabemos cómo es Corbin y lo que esperan de mí y lo que van a ver es que lo mismo que les dije, ¿no? Como le voy a borrar esa sonrisa y vamos a seguir hacia adelante, porque esa es la única forma, seguir hacia adelante. Yo le dije, tú lo tienes todo, yo a partir de ahora soy tu porrista y vamos a hacer que gane, porque nos encanta. Muy bien. So, now, let's talk about comedy. Because I know that you love comedy.
Yes.
So, where did this passion come from?
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to explain. It's hard to reason out. It's something that I've always loved. I've always had the personality that just at any time I want to go for the laugh. I want people, even, there's times where it's inappropriate, of course, to go for the laugh. But if it's not inappropriate, even if it's a serious conversation, I'll try to slip in a joke or two. And it's just, for me, it's the goofiest things. The goofier, the better for me. And it might not be a full-on joke. I might just be sitting at the breakfast table, having a quiet breakfast with my family, and then let out a Brock Lesnar scream just to startle everyone. And I'll find it hilarious. Just anything like that. I've always enjoyed the funny side of life. And it as I've grown and as I've read philosophy books and as I've become wiser, I do believe that if you're not enjoying life, even the hard times, even the training, the grind as people call it, if you're not enjoying that, it's not worth it. You have to try to enjoy every second, because at some point it's going to be over. Even the stuff that you think you don't like, even sitting in traffic, even the workouts, the early wake-up calls, the flights, the long drives, all these things that we as WWE superstars sometimes deal with. At some point, that's going to be over, and I'm going to miss it. And so I try to cherish it and get every bit of enjoyment I can out of it. And I think that's kind of the same attitude I take. That's what's opened me up to comedy. I love comedy specials on Netflix. There's like 1 million now. I enjoy comedy of all different kinds, shows, sitcoms, Family Guy, you name it. I love the comedy stuff. So it's just, I think it's, at the end of the day, it's hard to give you an exact reason, but I think it's just about enjoying our time here.
Okay. Wow. We need a Madcap most in all families, right? This is kind of the part of the cherry of the cake and everything. Jokes, as you said, is part of life. Of course,
Yes.
We have tough times and everything, but if you see with that part of comedy or something, the sweet part, I think we need you in all the families, please.
I think so, yeah.
Sí, no, qué barbaridad. Es que ver la vida con esta filosofía, o sea, como de decir, porque la pregunta fue, ¿de dónde viene la comedia? El gusto y el amor por la comedia. Y él me dijo, creo que de siempre, o sea, hasta en las pláticas más profundas, en los que estamos desayunando y se pone la cosa muy tensa, él saca un chistín para que las cosas estén mejor. Y él dijo, es que, está padrísimo, es que todo se acaba en la vida. Las veces todo se va a acabar en la vida. De que te despiertes temprano, de que vayas a entrenar, de que hasta las cosas que no teníamos imaginadas, esas también se acaban. Y las cosas difíciles son mucho mejores cuando le pones ahí una parte dulce. Entonces yo le dije, wow, todos necesitamos un Madcap más en nuestras familias, por favor. Y se va a cumplir para todos, porque sí lo necesitamos. And I mean, this is a personal question, but have you ever thought about being in stand-up comedy or something?
I actually have thought about that, and I've never really taken steps, serious, concrete steps towards it. But it is something that I thought I might want to dabble in and try someday, because I actually think there's a lot of similarities between being in a wrestling ring and being on a stage telling stand-up. And I think it's something that you have to have a plan, you have to be prepared, but you have to be able to go on the fly too and change and adapt and know the crowd and know your audience and just kind of have a feel for it and go where it takes you, go where the comedy takes you. And it's something that I've talked to a little bit with Dolph Ziggler about, because Dolph's a guy who has done that and taken that step. And I think it takes a lot of guts, because to me, I think it would be very easy to go on stage and completely bomb and have dead silence as you're trying to tell your jokes. And I think as I like watching shows like Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and they talk about even the best comedians have nights where they bomb. And that's a tough deal. I mean, and as WWE superstars, I can relate. Not every match is your best match, of course. So
of course.
You have down nights, and you just gotta, it's something that I think that someday I may do. It's something that I've thought about, like you asked, and have talked with people about like Dolph. As of right now, there's no plans. I'm focused on in-ring.
Yeah.
I'm focused on beating Happy Corbin specifically. But possibly in the future for sure.
Sí, you can do this. You can do this. Pues estamos ahorita hablando acerca de por qué no da el paso a hacer stand-up pero, ¿no? A hacer stand-up comedy. Y me dijo, lo he pensado, porque aparte de todo, no está tan alejado como todos piensan de ser una superestrella. Porque para todo necesitas saber tu público, cómo prepararte y todo eso. Sin embargo, a pesar de que lo ha pensado, pues ahora toda su energía está enfocada aquí y ahora en el match que va a tener con Happy Corbin. Yo creo que muy pronto lo veremos en Netflix. Yo ya diciendo. Es lo que yo quiero, pues. And who is your favorite comedian?
That's tough. I do have a few different ones. I would probably say overall Dave Chappelle. I think that he's given over the years between his show, but also many of his recent stand-up specials, I think consistently he's the one who's delivered the most laughs for Madcap. But there's others in there. Bill Burr. I like Jerry Seinfeld himself. You know, some of the old ones like Carlin. You know, there's a lot of, you know, I like to mix it up too because, you know, sometimes you're in the mood for a specific type, a bit more in your face. And then sometimes you want a bit more clean, you know, like Jim Gaffigan style comedy. So I would say overall Dave Chappelle, but I do like to mix it up.
Okay. And I have to confess that I'm not as good as you with, well, telling jokes. Not at all. But I have one for you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Here we go.
I wrote it, but do you want to hear it?
Absolutely, I want to hear it. Yes.
Okay, so in the gym, a man in his 50s asks the trainer at the gym, what machine should I use to impress a girl of 20? And the coach stares at him and says, I recommend the ATM. It was good or just...
It was good. I like it for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You know what? It's great because there's a bit of truth in it. It's funny, you know, you caught me off guard. I'm thinking machines, gym machines. You know, what's it going to be? Is it going to be the bicep curls? But you know what? I think the ATM is the way to go, but it's funny.
It's true.
Very good.
So now is your turn.
My turn.
Yeah.
For a joke? Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to keep this one short and simple. What do you call a salmon in a bow tie?
A salmon in a... No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Sophisticated. Sophisticated.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, so you're good with jokes. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So, hello.
Get out of here. Scram.
So, well, this is the end of this amazing, amazing show. Thank you so much for your time, for your vibe, for your energy, everything. Really, you're amazing, and we really love you so much. But before you leave,
yes,
do you want or can you send a message to all the WWE universe in Latin America, please?
Absolutely. For any of you that are supporters of Madcap, I genuinely, and I mean this with all of my heart, I genuinely appreciate the support that you give me. Of course, you know, I work out on my own, and in some sense I'm in the ring on my own, but any success that I am able to have is I play like a extremely minor, tiny role in. And so much of it I've talked about, you know, former teammates and my family and all these things, but the WWE universe and any of you in Latin America who support me are an enormous part of any success that I have. And every time I go to an arena and I hear you guys, or I log on, and all the comments that I'm seeing even just on this video here, it just really it's overwhelming to have the support of so many people. And even if you don't support me, I appreciate your passion.